Since all right, now I'm going live. It's never a right time to go live, is it? Hmm. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Get in here. Get in here, get in here. I got a word today. Word from the wise. Word from the wise today. I had to write some notes down so I didn't forget anything. Um, Man, yeah, okay. So we're here. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know. I get so nervous when I get on live, but I find it very necessary because the Most High just been ministering to me so heavily today, and I just feel very convicted that I have to go live. I have to share this message, and I just gotta deliver. It is what it is. It says slow connection, so if you're with me, drop something, drop a heart, drop a hey, drop a something, so I know that you can hear me and you can see me okay. Because it did just say slow connection. But peace and blessings to you. I'm excited to share this message today. I'm excited to share this message. So drop something for me so I know that you can hear me and you can see me and all that good stuff. Peace and blessings. Thank you. You can see me. Hello. Peace. Thank you, William. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right. So today, I want to talk to God's people today. I want to talk to God's people today, not from a religious standpoint, and not even from a standpoint of, just not from a religious standpoint. We're just going to put it like that. Let me backtrack a little bit. So my name is Lillian Mentea. I consider myself an Israelite, but I'm also a follower of Christ. Christ is the truth, the way, and the life. And the Most High has been ministering to me through knowledge and information a lot during my journey and relationship with Him. And one of the biggest things that I recognize with God's people, as it even says in the scriptures, is that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And the word covenant keeps coming up. So today I wanted to talk about covenant and what that means and how that affects our whole reality. Our covenant with the Most High and our covenants that we have with other things, people, places, and things, and how that just all really affects, how it really all affects everything that we're doing. It affects where we're going. It affects our environment. It affects everything. It affects how we feel. It affects what we receive, what we experience. It affects everything. Covenant. So first and foremost, what does the word covenant even mean? What does the word covenant mean? And covenant simply means agreement. Covenant simply means agreement. And so I know that I haven't really heard too much about covenant in the Christian church. While I am a Christian, I do recognize that there are a lot of things that we have in common and there's a lot of things that we don't have in common. And more so because my relationship with the Most High definitely is spiritual, far as relationship, but it's also in knowledge and information and actually knowing what God you're serving and understanding the covenant that we have with our God. So let's just start there first and foremost. So in Deuteronomy 28, the Most High set forth an agreement with His people, right? So this agreement with His people is prosperity and peace. That is the foundation of that agreement. If you follow me in this way, you will receive this. If you do not follow me in this way, then you will receive this. Now, God's people, unfortunately for us, we have not been following Him, and we have been constantly conforming to the ways of the world, which has led us in a state of poverty, of depression, oppression, anxiety, lack, all these things, because we have continuously come into covenant with the ways of the world, with new ideas and things that is contrary to how the Most High say to do things and see things and respond to things and stuff like that, right? And so take the time out to go to Deuteronomy 28 on your own time to read it, because it lays out perfectly clear the blessings and the curses for God's people, which first and foremost, before it became spiritual, was a people, a nationality of people, a nation of people, a melanated people. Us, those of us who still suffer the same curses that we have time and time again over generation after generation after generation. For the African American, the Jamaican, the Haitian, the African, all the Africans of the diaspora, these are not our first times being colonized. These are not our first times being enslaved. But because of our ignorance, because of our not being in covenant with God, that's really it. The scriptures tell us it's a straight gate. And it's one thing that we need to do. And it's really coming into covenant with the fullness of what God has for us, with the fullness of what the word says that we are to receive and how we're supposed to operate with the Most High. And it's not religious whatsoever. And so it's really practical and just really understanding what it is so that we can actually follow it and then we can see the fruits of it. The scriptures even tells us to test the spirit, right? So we're supposed to test the spirit. We're supposed to be able to go to our God and ask questions and receive answers. We're supposed to be able to go in the Bible and ask a question and actually receive a tangible answer to what the question may be. I'm not an advocate for following God and superstition. I'm not an advocate for that. I'm not an advocate of praise and worship but no information and no knowledge of what you're praising and worshiping to, because many people go to the church on Sunday morning and then during the week they're doing whatever they want to do and they're just operating waywardly and not even with no mind to what the standard is for your life to actually be in your peace and prosperity. And that's the promise of our God, the God that is over the children of Israel, the God that ordained the children of Israel, which is the children of the diaspora, those who have suffered the curses of slavery and oppression and all of those things, because those are the curses that was outlined in Deuteronomy 28. So go read Deuteronomy 28, okay? Deuteronomy 28 tells us the curses, and it just basically outlines how to identify the children of Israel. There are no nation of people that have went through what we went through. So we have been ordained to be purpose for God's use. And if we're not being in use for God, then by default, the enemy has power over us to oppress us. And now we're not able to come into the fullness of our prosperity, into the fullness of what God has for us, right? So let me go back to my notes because I want to make sure I stay on track, okay? So bear with me. So covenant. We're at covenant. So first and foremost, I just want to talk about identifying the actual covenant that we're supposed to be under with the Most High. So in the scriptures, it tells us that the Most High chose a particular people. You can actually follow the genealogy from Adam all the way down through Moses, all the way down through Jesus Christ. The lineage has been very consistent of a particular bloodline who the Most High has always communed with. It's a divine people, a people who have divine spiritual connection with the Most High. We are those who are prophetic. We are the priests. We are those who are supposed to be in the image of Jesus Christ. Even Jesus Christ told us that we shall even do greater things than he did. So the only thing that he showed us was the supernatural abilities that we actually have when we actually come into fullness of covenant with the Most High and we are one in spirit. That is a whole completely different walk that we all should be attaining to. But before that promise came through Jesus Christ, there's a practical promise. None of us should be broke. None of us should be suffering. None of us should be in poverty. That is the first sign that something is out of alignment, is when there is lack. When there is lack in finances, when there is lack in clarity, when there is lack in vision, where there is lack, that is the first sign that there is some kind of breach in your relationship with God or in your way of thinking, of being. The money game is not about doing. The money game is a mind game. And so I wanted to kind of come on and just unpack that a little bit and just share from a biblical perspective and bring it into a more natural, tangible perspective. Because it tells us in Deuteronomy 28 that our basket shall be full. What does that mean? That means that your basket, aka bank account, should never be empty when we are actually in alignment with the Most High. And a part of being in alignment with the Most High is actually operating in your purpose, serving who He say to serve and how He say to serve them. That is how you align yourself with prosperity and to receive all that God has for you, even in this natural realm. It's not that prosperity teachings and stuff like that, like I know that some people have a negative connotation about prosperity teachings, but in my personal opinion, I feel like we don't talk about it enough, because perhaps if we talk about it more, perhaps if more of us had more of a prosperity mindset, we wouldn't suffer so much. Perhaps if we just unpack this and actually go to our God and be like, hold on, Lord, because who said it was our portion to suffer in poverty? Who said? Not the Bible. And so what I understand is that operating in your purpose, operating in servitude, operating in a way where it is you're being utilized by the Most High in your gifts and your talents. Let me share a story with you real quick. So a couple of years ago, first of all, the Most High talks to me all the time in just like phrases. So the first thing He told me was release and surrender, right? So I meditated on that for a while. And what that means basically is release. So the first thing we're releasing the things that don't serve us. I think everybody knows that. It's a kind of cliche type of saying, but that's the reality. People, places, and things, if it's not adding value to you, if it's taken from you, if it's stealing, killing, or destroying you at any capacity, mentally, soulfully, physically, any of that, you have to release it. You have to release it. So release what is not serving you. Release what is stealing from you. Release what is killing you. Release it, release it, release it. Release habits. Release thought processes. Release belief systems. Release the things that are not serving you. That's first and foremost. Then, when I meditated on it for a little while longer, the Spirit told me, so we're releasing the things that don't serve you, but now you're also going to release your gifts and your talents. You're also going to release you're going to release your gifts and your talents. Point blank, period. Release your gifts and your talents. Too many of us have so many gifts and talents, but are so fearful to share it and express it. Now, it's funny because I just recently posted me doing a verse for the Childlike CC Challenge with KB. And I really did that for me. I really did that for me because for so many years I had been fearful to release, to just express myself musically, to just do it. And perfection is the thief. Perfection is the thief of joy. Perfection is the thief of you actually being in your fullness, because you feel like, oh, it has to be in a particular type of way, but you're only holding yourself back because there's no such thing as perfection, essentially. Just express yourself, be in flow. And so that's what the Most High ministered to me. He said, release the things that don't serve you and release your gifts and your talents. That's first and foremost. And then secondly is surrender. Surrender to the will of God. Yes, have the vision, have your desires, have the things that you want to go after, but also be open and flexible enough to actually flow with the process. It's not going to look like how you imagined it to look. The end result actually may turn out, and most likely will turn out better than you had expected it to be, but you have to be able to be open-minded enough and flow enough to be able to operate in that process where you're not blocking your own blessings because it's not looking how you expected it to look. It's not feeling how you expected it to look, because it don't always feel good. In fact, the very things that the Most High call you to, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have anxiety attached to it. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to push through some fear. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to push through to actually get in it. And so let me share this story. So I remember one time I was scrolling. I was looking for a house. I was on like Trulia or Zillow or something like that. And I remember I was just just looking for regular houses for me and my little family, you know. And there was a mansion that just randomly popped up on my feed. And I remember when it popped up, I just saw it and I just kept scrolling. But then the spirit told me, go back and scroll back up and look at it. So I did that. I scrolled back up and I went to look at the house. And it was weird because when I saw the picture or whatever, I immediately got like this uncomfortable feeling in me, like a feeling of anxiety, a feeling of like, I couldn't even explain it, but it was like this fear, I guess. It was a weird emotion that was very uncomfortable that almost made me want to retreat. But the spirit said, no, just click in it and keep going. So I clicked in it and I looked around. You know how on Zillow or Trulia, you know, you can like do the 3D and you can walk around and you can see the house and stuff like that. And I remember just exploring the house or whatever. And so I remember the more that I looked at the house, the more that feeling got stronger and stronger and stronger. It was like this anxious feeling. And I remember the spirit telling me, the things that God calls you to is going to have this feeling in it. This feeling will lead you to your promise, to the better things in life, to the good things in life. And that feeling, you have to chase that feeling. You have to push through that feeling, like dance with that feeling. You know what I mean? And that was a moment where it really helped me to redefine what anxious and that anxiety feeling, what that actually means. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. We decide what things mean. We take on words. This is the thing about language. We take on words and they come with a meaning that was given to us by this world, society, whatever. But the reality is that when you are in the spirit and when you're able to be free in spirit, you can discern and decide what that feeling actually means. So the spirit told me in that moment that anxious feeling is something that's a good thing. That means that you're pressing forward in, like, here we go. Because I'm trying to explain this in a way, but I got another thing. Consider Peter. Consider Peter when God called him to walk on water. When God called Peter to walk on water, you think he had anxiety? You think he wasn't afraid? You think he wasn't uncomfortable? But look at what he was able to accomplish. He walked on water when he kept his eyes straight. But the moment that he began to mind and pay attention to what was around him and how scary and how unrealistic it is and how extraordinary it is and how he began to sink. So the Most High ministered to me, and I wanted to share with you to release your gifts and your talents, to release the things that don't serve you and surrender to the will of God. And press in, lean in to what's unfamiliar. Lean into what is uncomfortable as long as it is leading you toward the vision. Keep your eyes straight. Keep your mind focused on the things of God. As long as you're in that frequency of things, never mind. Never mind the emotions. I call them the winds of life. I call them the winds. They're like winds. You can feel them. You can feel them. But they don't move you. It don't have to shake you. When you're walking outside and you feel the breeze, you can feel the breeze, right? But it don't shake you. You can feel the heat from the sun, but it don't stop you from going to where you're going. You're still going to move. You're still going to walk. So it's the same thing when it comes to our emotions in this world, in this life, and when it comes to circumstances and pressing forward towards your prosperity and your peace. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to release relationships that you have become comfortable with but no longer serve you. It's very uncomfortable to meet new people that you got to learn. It's uncomfortable to engage in new relationships where they might have some traits that might be a little irritating, but the relationship is valuable. You understand? So we have to be able to discern, and we got to be able to know what's valuable and what's not serving us. And so I just wanted to come on and share this word about peace and prosperity, and really identifying it from a soul level, not just by the image of things, but actually being able to discern it and knowing how to suffer it and maintain it when we're in it. Because many times we let the stress of this world, we let the pressures of this world, the narratives and the ideas of other people and how they perceive you and what they expect you to do and how they expect you to be, to dictate exactly how we actually showing up. And we got to stop that. We have to surrender ourselves to the will of God. And the will of God is for you to be authentically you in the fullness of who you are today. Don't matter if you're... I remember when I first started showing up for God, it was the most uncomfortable season in my life. The most embarrassing season in my life. But the Most High will test you that way. The Most High will test you that way, because you're not supposed to care about what the world has to say above what it is that God has for you, above what it is that the Most High wants you to do. Never mind the world. Sometimes we are so systematically compliant that we're disobedient to God. That's a word. That's a word. Sometimes we are so systematically compliant that we are now disobedient to God. So we have to be able to discern, and the only way that you can truly discern is if you actually know the God that you serve. That's going back to covenant. That's going back to the word covenant. What is covenant? Agreement. Are you in agreement with the promises of God? Are you in agreement that yes, you are prosperous? Yes, you are worthy. Yes, you are above and not beneath. Yes, you are the head and not the tail. Yes, you are the lender and not the borrower. Are you in agreement with that? Or are you in agreement with your circumstance that tell you you ain't got no money? Are you in agreement with circumstance because of these broken relationships and this person left you, so you must not be good enough? Or, this job is only paying you this amount, so you're only worth this amount, or whatever the case. Are you in agreement with those things? Are you in agreement with what God said? Because if you know what God said and you lean into your gifts and your talents or your purpose, then you recognize that you are so much more than what you have ever even believed. It tells us in the scriptures, Christ told us that he came that we may live more abundantly. More abundantly. So we have to come out of this stinking thinking, this poverty mindset. And it's not just poverty when it comes to the finances of things, but it comes to the poverty of your soul, the poverty of your mindset, the poverty of your belief system. What does your belief system tell you? What is your belief system ministering to you? And that is ultimately dictating how you're showing up. That's ultimately dictating the decisions that you're making. You know what I'm saying? So release and surrender. Release and surrender. Release your gifts and your talents and serve God's people. Before I understood my assignment in my life, I'm going to just share this. Before I actually understood what purpose was, that at one point that was not even an idea. I didn't realize that, we all supposed to have a purpose, or, I have a purpose. Like, that was not a thing for me at one point in my life. But I recognized that the first and foremost, in order for you to find what your unique purpose is for your life, you got to first align yourself with God and just serve God's people. That's it. Just serve God's people with your gifts and your talents. So if you are a painter, paint in a way that ministers to God's people, that uplifts God's people. If you are a speaker, just speak in a way that ministers and serves God's people. If you are a rapper, a singer, do it in a way where it ministers and serves God's people. And God will reveal more and more to you. You got to take action. You just got to take action in the presence of God. You have to take action in the presence of God, and God will minister to you, and he will direct you, and he will show you, and he will tell you, okay, now this is your next assignment. This is the next thing that you're going to do. This is the next thing I'm going to put before you for you to tackle and accomplish. That's how you find your purpose. We're not going to know the purpose in the beginning. It's not something that's just laid out for us. Sometimes it's like little breadcrumbs. You just got to start, and you get the first breadcrumb, and that one will lead you to the next and lead you to the next. But it takes a moment of decision to be intentional about, one, being in purpose, and two, being open and being in the discovery process of what the fullness of your purpose is, because we're all purposed off top in divine order to just serve God and serve God's people. It tells us that in the scriptures. Love God with all thy heart, all thy might, all thy soul. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. That's your purpose. That's your purpose. You start there and God will minister the rest. I can promise you that. And so I just wanted to come on and just share this word about peace and prosperity and the fullness of that in covenant with the Most High, and be an expectation of that. It also tells us that in the scriptures as well, to have an expected end. Too many of us are expecting the worst. Some of us are expecting the least. Some of us are expecting less than what it is that God has promised us. And so I just wanted to share that if you're actually in covenant with the Most High, if you're actually in covenant with the Most High, you should be in expectation of peace and prosperity in the fullness of all things, from the spiritual into the natural. And to do that is to be in obedience, to release and surrender. And so I just wanted to just share that word. I will be hosting an event soon, and I'm going to share more information on that. It's going to be about a 3-4 day event. It will be here on Facebook, which I'm super excited about. I'm calling it Activate to Elevate, because it's time for God's people to wake up. We got to wake up the sleeping giants, wake up the sleeping gods. And too many of us are not activated because of fear, because of evil covenants, because of all kinds of things. And it's time to just clear it up. It's time to get the house in order, clear it up so that the Most High can do what it is that he needs to do for his people. Because as we all can see, we are in a time where we are in tribulation, and it's time to make a move. It's time to bust a move. And we can't just sit here like sitting ducks and not doing nothing, not saying nothing, not being activated, not elevating, not nothing. We waiting on presidents, we're waiting on the government, we're waiting on other people to bring forth solutions to things that they don't have the answers to. And so keep your eyes on my page, so when I do the announcement, you could be locked in and tapped in. But I just wanted to share this word. I'm not going to go on because at this point I'm rambling. So but peace and blessings to you. I pray that you have a prosperous day. Follow me on YouTube, because your girl about to be over there, because YouTube actually paid. I don't get paid over here. So we gonna be on YouTube. Okay, so follow me on YouTube at Lillian Mentea, and I think that's it, unless you got something to say. Hey Shayna, hey girl. So, I'm glad you said hey, because I have to remember, I almost forgot. Wednesdays at 7 a.m. we meet on Clubhouse at Her Freedom Sisters Clubhouse for the morning prayers in the sister circles. So listen, if you my sister girl, listen, I'm looking for my freedom sisters. You hear me? I'm talking about prosperity minded. I'm talking about beautiful, free. I'm talking about loving, graceful, righteous, virtuous. I'm talking about just the gems, the top shelf. Okay? Meet me at Her Freedom Sisters Facebook group and on Clubhouse. Okay? So, I think that's it. Unless y'all got something to talk about, but I don't want to sit on here and ramble. You know what I'm saying? So unless y'all got something to talk about, I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. And, all right. Peace and blessings, y'all.